Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. I would say probably in a month or so we'll probably get our first looks at the Safari 2020 figures, so I thought this would be a good time for me to finish up my reviews on the 2019 models. So the subject of today's review is the Safari Ltd 2019 Styracosaurus. Safari's 2019 lineup gave us a lot of great models. They gave us a fantastic new Allosaurus, a very accurate Stegosaurus. Their Camarasaurus is fantastic, but I gotta say, I always have a soft spot for Safari's ceratopsians. The work that Doug Watson does sculpting his ceratopsians is absolutely fantastic, and their ceratopsians always stand out as my favorite figures every year in their line, and this Styracosaurus is no exception. So a couple quick things about Styracosaurus before we jump into the review. Styracosaurus is a mid-sized ceratopsian, about 18 feet long. It lived in Alberta, Canada in the Cretaceous period, about 75 million years ago. Its fossils were discovered by Charles Sternberg and then named in 1913 by Lawrence Lambie. So Styracosaurus was a mid-sized ceratopsian, and since we're talking about size, let's do a couple quick measurements. This model is about 7¼ inches long from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, or about 18.4 centimeters, and about 3¾ inches to the top of that spike on the back of its frill, or 9.5 centimeters. So with those measurements, like I said, Styracosaurus was a mid-sized ceratopsian, about 18 feet long. That will put this model somewhere in the 1/30 scale range. The pose of this figure is just a standard walking pose. You got the two left legs together, and you got the right legs outstretched as it's taking a step forward. The overall coloration on this model is dark green stripes mixed in with different shades of brown, and you got some nice white highlights along the back legs going down the tail. And I gotta say, I really like the white on this model. I think it gives that dark green and brown a lot of nice contrast. So let's take a look at some of the finer details on this figure. Starting with the head, you can see a lot of nice scalation along this gorgeous head sculpt. The eyes are painted brown with a black pupil, and they look really nice. The fenestra, or the openings on the frill, are painted a bright red color, and the horns on the frill are painted a lighter brown along with the knobs along the sides of the frill, and the nose horn is also painted in that brown color. And you notice this nose horn is really rounded, and usually when Safari rounds off the horns and claws of their models, it's mostly for a safety reason, because these figures are mainly meant for kids, and you don't want the kids hurting themselves with these toys. But when the type specimen of Styracosaurus was discovered, the tip of the nose core wasn't found, but comparing it to other specimens, paleontologists have concluded that most likely the tip of Styracosaurus's nose horn was most likely rounded. So maybe this is just a lucky thing that Safari rounded it off, or maybe Doug, just as he always does a ton of research when he does a ceratopsian, and this rounded off nose horn was intentional. But either way, really cool touch. It really makes this model more accurate in my opinion. So going over the rest of the head, you can see the nostrils are sculpted in right here, and you got the beak, and a little bit of that green kind of blends in with the tip of the beak right here. I really don't like that. Kind of wish it was just all that brown color. It's just a little bit distracting to me, but other than that, just a minor flaw in my opinion, not a big deal. And moving down to the neck, you can see a lot of different size scales sculpted along the neck right here. Even the back of the frill is beautifully sculpted, and you can even see the ear is sculpted in and painted in black right there. And flipping it over, you can see a nice white wash along the neck and stomach all the way down to the tip of the tail. And of course, we have a cloaca painted in with just a little bit of black. Safari always does their cloaca slits very nicely, unlike Collectae, where it looks like it exploded. And turn the figure around and taking a look at the body, you can see more of that really nice scalation in there. You can see all that dark brown and dark greens striping along the body. I really like that natural looking color scheme on this figure. You got a lot of nice folds and wrinkles around the legs. The legs look very strong and muscular. And going down to the feet, you can see it does have the correct number of toes. These 3 claws are painted in where these shouldn't, which is the correct way. And I always love the way Doug sculpts the feet of his ceratopsians. They always look really, really nice in my opinion. And moving down to the hind legs, now you have that white striping mixing in with the dark green. I think that looks really, really nice. I like the contrast with that. And the hind legs do have the correct number of toes, which is 3 right here. And those are painted in a brown color, same thing like the front of the toes. And Safari, with some of their figures, they added kind of like that muddy, dark look to the feet, and they didn't do it to this figure. And I like it this way. I don't really like that dirty look like they did on, like, for example, their 2019 Stegosaurus. If you have that figure, you know what I'm talking about. And they even did it kind of with the Allosaurus, like the whole foot was just black going up to about the knees. So I do like how the color scheme of the figure goes all the way down to the toes. I just kind of really don't like that dirty look that they've been doing on some of their models. And then going down to the tail, you can see more of that white and green striping, which looks really nice. And there is a row of knobs that start behind the neck that continue all the way along the back down to the tip of the tail. So let's put this guy back down and move on to comparisons with some other ceratopsian figures and other dinosaurs and see how this figure stacks up. Alright, first up in comparison is the Safari 2018 Triceratops, and most of the Safari ceratopsians are kind of in scale with each other, but this Styracosaurus is definitely too big to scale with the Safari Triceratops. The Safari Triceratops is somewhere in the 140 to 145 scale range, depending on what size measurement you use. So the Styracosaurus is just a little bit shorter than Triceratops. Triceratops was like 25 to 30 feet long. Styracosaurus was 18 feet, and you can see that these models are just like maybe like half an inch shorter than each other, so they really don't scale together really well. And here's a couple more Safari ceratopsians. Here it is with the fabulous Pseudoceratops and the Ionosaurus, and these three kind of scale pretty well with each other. These are roughly in the 130 scale range, just like the Styracosaurus, so those do look good together. And here it is with the new Papo Pentaceratops, and you can just see how those look next to each other. That Papo Pentaceratops is absolutely amazing, even though it has a few accuracy flaws, but it is still a beautiful looking figure. And here it is with the 2019 Carnotaurus. I still haven't reviewed this one yet. I still got to review the Carnotaurus and the Ceratopsian, and I should be done with the 2019 Safari figures that I picked up this year, so I'll try to get to those hopefully before Safari unveils their 2020 figures. And here it is with some other Styracosaurus figures from other companies. Here it is with the huge Collecte Styracosaurus, which is still a fantastic figure. And here it is with the Papo Styracosaurus, which is still another great figure. You really can't go wrong between the three of these figures. If I had to pick one, I really love the Papo one. Just love that lifelike appearance. But I do like the overall look of all the Safari ceratopsians, so I'll probably go with this 2019 one if I had to pick out of the three of these. And last but not least, here is the old Rosaurus Carnage Collection Styracosaurus. You can see how big this figure is. I love these older Rosaurus figures. These are like a precursor to the Beast of the Mesozoic figures, which that Kickstarter is going to be starting in a few weeks. And oh boy, I am going to be spending a lot of money when that starts. A lot of great figures in that set. So final thoughts on this figure. I think it's a fantastic Styracosaurus figure. I do highly recommend it. The only complaint I had on it was I didn't like the green going down onto the beak. I kind of just wish it was more of that uniform brown color. So other than that, I think it's just a fantastic figure. I love Doug Watson's Ceratopsian figures. This figure retails for, I think, around $14. I ordered mine off of Safari's website. I like ordering directly from them, so I build up my Bernie bucks and use those towards future purchases. So I'll leave a link in the description to Safari's website if you want to order this figure. And you can also pick this up on Amazon if you just prefer getting it through Amazon. So I'll also leave a link to Amazon in the description. So that will do it for the review. We'll be getting to the Carnotaurus and Ceratopsian. I know we're going into September now, and I'm still reviewing the 2019 Safaris, but there's so many different figures I review, it's hard to keep up with everything as they come out. So hopefully, like I said, I'll get those done hopefully before Safari unveils their 2020 figures. And as always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys for the next one.